Hey, what's up? Dusk and Cat here. Hope you're all doing pretty good. So I wanted to talk about what it's like to come back to Dead by Daylight after 4 years. Now, I have hopped in intermittently to check the game out, but I haven't played it seriously for like 4 years. Or since Spirit, I think it is when I pretty much, I think, walked away at that point. It seems right. Or it might have been sooner, and maybe I came back and checked out Spirit. I don't remember completely, but I know it's been about 4 years. I guess the first question, though, to ask is, what was it like back in the day, and why did I quit, and why am I coming back? Well, let's talk about the good old days first. If you've been following any Dead by Daylight content creator, they may have talked about what the game was like at launch in the first couple of years, and they probably lovingly referred to those times as the dark times. To give you, especially for killers. For killers, it was the dark times. For survivors, it was the golden age of bounty and wonderment. To give you an example, on one of the Autohaven Wrecker locations, the workshop, whatever the workshop one is, that center workshop building had 5 windows in one side, 1 window on the other side, and there were no window blockers, so you could vault all the windows infinitely. And there was a mechanic called vacuum vaulting, where if you were just running and you tapped your spacebar, it just vacuum you sideways or backwards, whatever, through that vault, and it would do it very quickly. So you could like vacuum out from a killer hit. It was crazy, and you could fast vault while just standing next to a window. So ding, ba-ding, ba-ding, and then you've got a row of windows, and then one emergency window on the backside if something went wrong with the first 5 windows. So yeah, victims that were aware, victims, wrong game, sorry, survivors that were, aware that these things existed, were pretty much impossible to get. You also had the magic school bus, I forgot about that one. You just could not get them, especially not with, the first 3 killers. Hillbilly Wraith and Trapper. Trapper maybe had the best chance. Nah, it was impossible for him to. They just disarm your traps. I remember. And then eventually, Myers came out. Michael Myers came out, and there was the decisive strike meta, where everybody had decisive strike. I don't remember what happened with decisive strike, but I believe it was that if you got downed, the perk activated, then you could use it. I think it might have been 1 use only, but the whole team had it, and it was just one get out of jail free card. You didn't have to be hooked or anything like that, just you picked somebody up off the ground and then bam, you got stunned and they ran away. And that's why the slugging meta, that's where the slug meta was born. Because killers got to the point where they couldn't pick victims up. So it was like, screw it, we'll just do the workaround and bleed you out. So if you hate slugging metas, you can thank Decisive Strike for inspiring killers to go that direction. But I will say that, like, for the first year or so, toxicity wasn't really an issue. It wasn't bad at all. I feel like everybody was having fun despite the fact that the game was pretty jank. And this isn't, like, not to mention all the bugs. The hills, the sloped ramped hills, used to, if you walked around, there was like a little flat rock, and if you walked over it, you would just get stuck and you couldn't move. If there was a victim, you could hit him and down him and pick him up to get him out, but then the killer would be stuck in that spot and wouldn't move, and there was no way to get the killer unstuck. If you grabbed somebody vaulting a pallet, it would teleport you into the middle of the pallet, drop you out of the map, or teleport you outside the exterior wall so that you couldn't get back into the trial. And that would happen with a lot of stuff. Falling through the map as the survivor. It was crazy. It was crazy, right? But this was the first asymmetrical horror game to actually take off. There were a few that came before it, Damned being the first one that really, like, opened the genre up, and Damned is actually the game that brought me into the genre. I thought that was a really cool idea for the game. But Dead by Daylight was, I think, the first one to put, like, a serious gameplay loop, right? Like, there was an active gameplay loop here, and there was some stuff going on, and really good visual. Granted, they're better now, but, you know, back in 2016, the visuals were pretty good at the time. So I think that was also kind of a hook, right? But as the game got older, toxicity got worse. Yeah, rising toxicity, not only from the player base, but from the dev team itself. And then the game kind of being stagnant with, like, it wasn't progressing toward its potential. So those of us that saw the bugs and the jank and were dealing with it because we saw so much potential really started to get burned out when the game wasn't moving toward that potential. And that's really what kills any game. So eventually I just kind of got burned out and I had to move away from the game. So yeah, that's what it was like before, why I quit, why I moved away, how I felt about the game. And then I started drifting into other genres a little bit. My channel kind of started to go in different directions, and I found Phasmophobia and found a bunch of success with Phas. But part of my blow up was based on COVID, so everybody was home. And when COVID went away, so did a lot of my success, unfortunately. And I really failed to pivot. Did a terrible job pivoting into anything, really. And so everything just kind of like, you know, fell apart, unfortunately, but it happens, right? So trying to find something to do with my channel, trying to decide on, you know, what a good direction and identity is and all that. And so I decided, you know, horror is definitely something I enjoy, and asymmetrical horror is something I've always been a fan of. I play all the asymmetrical horror games that I can get a hold of. And if that's what I was going to do, then that means that Dead by Daylight needs to be on the menu. You can't be an asymmetrical horror player and not at least dabble in Dead by Daylight. So I decided it was a good time to come back, and a lot of the more recent stuff seems like behaviors really got their game figured out. More interesting killers, both original and licensed. I think better kits, better map design, better perks. I'm hearing good things about the balance and all that jazz. I know Sadako actually brought me back temporarily for a little bit, but the release version of Sadako was pretty bad, so that pushed me right back out. But the difference here between Sadako and Freddy is that Freddy took them a year. I don't remember. I know he got a bunch of work. But the Onryo, I hear after, like a couple of months. I don't know for sure. I wasn't playing Dead by Daylight, but, you know, just watching some of the Dead by Daylight content creators like Otsdarva and stuff like that, and King. And, you know, being able to, like, catch wind of what's going on with the game, even though I wasn't playing. It did seem like they got the Onryo back into a pretty good spot in a reasonable amount of time. So, like, that was, like, a really big positive. You know, coming back after 4 years and seeing that, like, that's such a stark difference for me. For those of you who have been playing Dead by Daylight this whole time, you probably haven't noticed the dramatic change because you've been seeing the changes one small piece at a time over a very long period of time. I'm seeing like 4 years of progress over a very short period of time. The two things that really caught my attention the most, of course, was Chucky. Oh my god. Great voice lines. They got the original actor. They got the actress Jennifer Tilly in for the Bride of Chucky skin. The kit plays superbly well. It seems to be pretty balanced. It's got healthy counterplay in it. But Trapper, my boy, I loved Trapper back in the day. He was my favorite guy because he was methodic, right? And I heard he got some buffs, so I'm like, ooh, I gotta check out Trapper. He was worse than I remember 4 years ago. I don't know what they've done to poor old Trapper over the years, but he felt like dog crap. I was so excited to, like, get in and be making Trapper plays and all this stuff again, like some stuff back in the day, but, you know, oh, the game is better balanced now, so it's gonna be even better. No, it was worse. It was so bad. But yeah, so what is it like coming back? It's just seeing a lot of crazy dramatic changes, and the most recent, like the last year, being stuff that is a lot more intelligent and like just better designed for the framework that is the gameplay loop that is Dead by Daylight. So it's been pretty exciting to come back to and all that. But there was also a lot of heavy reliance on chat to fill me in on like metas, what perks are good to get. People were cool and gifted me some killers, and that was cool. And I had 1,000 Auric cells that I'd been sitting on for literally 4 years, I think. Maybe the Auric cells had only been there for 2 years or something. Maybe I bought them when I came back for Onryo or something. However long ago that was. I don't remember, but I know they've been up there for minimum 2 years. But yeah, I played Xenomorph and did terrible. Seemed cool, and I've heard that Xenomorph is okay. But I was absolutely terrible with Xenomorph, so I had to like rely on chat to fill me in on like what the general idea and strategy was and all that, because I was straight clueless, man. I had no idea what I was doing. And so that's a whole thing too, is having to be reliant on chat to like help me bridge the gap. You know, and then keeping up on little, you know, just the little mechanics and stuff like that, that muscle memory that takes time to work up. So I've got to do all that. Almost every single map in the game has been redesigned, so I've got to relearn most locations now. But that learning phase is often kind of fun. So in a way, I'm kind of getting to experience Dead by Daylight, like that new player hype, all over again, which is great, especially now that it actually is in a pretty good place. So I'm basically a new player with 4,000 hours. So that's kind of what it's like to come back. And so overall, though, it's been fun and it's been pretty enjoyable. But I still like all the other asymmetricals, right? Like, I still plan to check out Killer Clowns and play that a lot. I think I'll probably honestly play all of them. I don't like the idea of focusing on one game, but there's definitely a need to focus on a genre when it comes to content creation. But yeah, so overall it's been pretty good. So expect to see a lot more Dead by Daylight on the channel. News about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a lot of gameplay on Killer Clowns, and just asymmetrical stuff in general. Anyway, I think that pretty much covers everything I wanted to talk about. I don't want this to get too awfully long. Thanks for hanging out, and hopefully we'll catch you in the next one. Also, don't forget the like button and all that for the algorithm.